Good evening. This is Rahul Magan here as a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a venture capitalist. In today's Facebook Connect, I would be talking something important pertaining to United States. Now, as we understand that the world economy is facing a war, which is nothing but the US-Ukraine war. There are other geopolitical tensions going between Russia, Taiwan, probably North Korea, United States, and many other countries of the globe. But having said that, the attraction is US and Ukraine. But before this war, the world had COVID. In fact, even today, as we speak, the world is having COVID. The new variants are coming, new variants are emerging up, and so on and so forth. Now, the inflation is rising up worldwide. Now, this inflation is not rising because of I would say, the salary inflation, basically the wage inflation. Wage inflation in the sense like when companies trying to pay exorbitantly to retain the talent. So this is not the wage inflation. Let it be very honest. This is a supply restricted inflation, which means that due to Corona and now because of Russia and Ukraine, the supply is constrained. Now this is pushing up the inflation. Now, since it is pushing up the inflation, the central banks across the globe are trying to tame it via the rate hike. As we speak, Federal Reserve already done with a 25 basis point hike. European Central Bank also done with 25 basis point hike. Central Bank of Korea and many other central banks are done with their respective hike. But the end result is not yet achieved. And this is what I'm warning people on my YouTube channel, and now we already started the Facebook Connects. I am warning on the Facebook also. You will not be able to achieve this by hiking the rate, because the small and medium term economy or the small and medium term enterprises are in a very bad shape, and thanks to Corona and the war. So expecting your rate hike would be able to bring inflation down is a big mistake. Now, a very important point which I would like to discuss from the Indian, I would say, from the India monetary policy angle. Few days ago, we had a policy meeting, MPC, Monetary Policy Committee of Reserve Bank of India. The Einsteins, Edisons and the Newtons came in public domain and said that, India would be hiking the rate. But I am persistently saying one thing, that India is not in a position to hike the rate. The reason is pretty clear. And the reason is that the debt level of Indian government is rising. And it is rising at a very fastest pace. Now that's an unfortunate fact that the paid, sold and corrupt media of India is not reflecting that. Every budget we focus on tax or the tax benefit. But unfortunately where we never focus is, I would say the gross and the net borrowing of the government of India, which by the way is going up exorbitantly. So both gross and net borrowing is going up exorbitantly. Now when the gross and net borrowing is going up, of course the interest cost would go up. There is hardly any doubt. Now when the interest cost go up, it means that the government either need to print more money, that's more important, or the government need to borrow more. From the last 6 months, as far as the data is concerned, and I doubt the data, India is witnessing double-digit inflation, which is WPI. WPI means Wholesale Price Index. WPI is nothing but the 303 of 2022. Now, which means that when the whole world is on AK-47 or the advanced assault weapons, the WPI is nothing but the 303. But still India is computing inflation on WPI. Hardly any media channel talks about CPI. And CPI linked bonds failed drastically. That is another good thing which we never wanted to discuss. Anyways, now as inflation is shaping up in India, we will see that the saving structure of India will collapse, which means that thus the money which you are saving will come down drastically because the real interest rates are already negative in India. And that's a fact. Because today the inflation is near about 13% to 14% as per official statistics. In reality, it is more than 20%, and in some cases it is more than 30%. But officially speaking, it is 13 to 14%. The saving structure of the country would collapse. And when the saving structure would collapse, it would have a deep and denting impact on the stock markets. That I am warning you right now. Like I warned people in 2008 about venture capitalists and the private equity fund. I warned people on multiple aspects at a multiple point of time. And now I am warning you that probably in another few years from now, the saving structure would collapse. Because whether it is petroleum prices, whether this is diesel prices, whether this is gas prices, whether this is metal prices, now whether this is any other thing, the pricing is going up. Now, when the pricing is going up, it would have deep and detrimental impact on the saving structure. Government of India is relentless as far as the borrowing program is concerned, because every year you are borrowing a huge amount of money. And when you borrow a huge amount of money, remember you need to pay. To conclude my story with a live example that today Sri Lanka defaulted on a whole 51 billion. I repeat, on a whole 51 billion of debt. Now this includes near about 25% debt of China and rest of international agencies. So the MBA professionals who were taught a concept called sovereign debt. Now sovereign debt means it cannot default as it is guaranteed by a country. This concept is foolish now, because whether this is Sri Lanka, now Pakistan is facing around 43 trillion Pakistani rupee of debt, and you know what is happening with Nepal. So these concepts are foolish now. Very soon the world will see a major debt collapse, and I don't think that any country would get spared. The reason being, the whole, like as we speak, the world having around 229 trillion worth of the debt. 229 trillion worth of debt. I am warning you right now that the debt level of India is rising. When I speak about the debt level, I mean to say government and corporate. I'm not naming any specific corporate, but the corporate I am talking it about, rather the corporates I am talking it about, these corporates accumulated a huge amount of debt. That's a separate thing that in the countries like India, the stock price would always go up because people are foolish enough not to understand that. But history is witness that everything, specifically talking debt, when it would go up, it has to come down, which means the corporate will default. Infrastructure leasing and financial services, Diwan housing, Yes Bank. There are numerous examples. I'm never short of examples which we hold when we saw boom. All of a sudden boom. Debt level is rising. The paid, sold and corrupt media is completely ignoring that. We do not knew this about. Media will never talk about this. Rest you all know. Like I promised, the Facebook Connect started, but always in the night because of the time restriction. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. You knew my number 9899242978. I repeat 9899242978. Have a great time ahead.